Welcome to day 2 of the Ha Giang Loop, and welcome to Dong Van town. We started the day off early, waking up to a view of the rice paddies behind our homestay. After a quick breakfast, it was onto our bikes and back on the road.
Here we are inside the Vuong Palace.
Yeah, the Hmong Palace.
Built in 1919 for the Hmong king.
One of the first Hmong people in Vietnam, actually.
The Hmong people are an indigenous group who live in this part of Vietnam and other parts of East and Southeast Asia. At the time of the palace's construction, the Vuong family was one of the wealthiest in the country thanks to the opium trade. The palace has an interesting history and is well worth a visit. Next up, we entered the Meo Vac region, and we got this beautiful viewpoint where you could see rows of mountains. We had a quick stop here, and then a couple 100 meters on the other side of the mountain, we viewed this river that we would soon be driving down to. After a slightly sketchy drive down a dirt path to get here, we finally arrived at this brand new complex. It was great for us to sit down on the boats and relax a little bit after being on the bikes for most of the morning. The boat ride lasted about an hour, and it was just the right amount of time for us to sit down and relax. After visiting a little bit of a bug, we went to our favorite lunch spot of the trip, which was kind of a grocery store diner all in one. Highlights of the meal included the beef lemongrass, definitely the homemade spring rolls, and of course some Vietnamese coffee. The next part of our drive was on dirt roads. This is because the highway was still under construction and will be completed soon. The upside for us was that it was almost completely empty and we had the whole roads to ourselves. The downside, it was quite bumpy and dusty. The views remained awesome as always. After a quick pit stop, we were so happy to be back on paved roads after a couple hours on the dirt. This was not a wildfire, it was actually a controlled fire to burn old crops.
Hello, we're looking super dusty right now.
Homestay.
Looks like a little private villa.
Very private and very cool.
Just washing my dusty hands.
And we have a separate
We
shower.
finally have a separate shower.
Mitchell, why are you outside in the dark?
We lost power inside this luxurious villa.
1 second after checking in.
Yeah.
After we got our power back, we had dinner and headed into the village for a few drinks and snacks with our drivers. This was a really good chance for us to relax and unwind and celebrate the last night of our tour.
Wow, you can see all the mountains during the daytime.
Day 3 of the Ha Giang Loop. We're here at a beautiful viewpoint and we just finished breakfast. Starting a little later today, it's almost 10 a.m. A very hot, hottest day, and just at the top of a mountain. After looking at the viewpoint, we came down into the valley and checked out Hmong Village. We wanted to try some of the corn wine that they make from scratch right here. It wasn't necessarily part of our tour, but our guide brought us here when we told him that we were interested. If you're wondering what the orange stuff hanging from the ceiling is, that's the corn that is produced here. As we had already been on the bikes for a few days now, we were really starting to get used to it. The weather also was a little bit cloudy on this day with a little bit of rain. We really didn't mind it after some of the hot days, and it gave a nice atmosphere to the mountains. The Ha Giang region has a lot of waterfalls that you can take a look at and even swim in. We opted not to swim at this point, but it certainly would have been nice on the hot day. The waterfall was actually the last stop on our tour before we headed back to the city of Ha Giang. Instead of being up in the high mountains, we spent a lot of this drive beside the river and watching the landscape turn from remote to slightly more urban. The loop was undoubtedly the highlight of our Vietnam trip and one of the best travel experiences we've ever had. It definitely helps that we were in a small group with friends and incredible guides, but I think anyone would appreciate the beauty of the sights we saw. It was also great to be able to learn about the people and culture of the region as well, all while doing it on motorcycle, an adventure in and of itself. Although the loop gets more and more popular every year, I really hope that it doesn't get too crowded and lose its authenticity and charm. This was the type of travel adventure that we love and is the one that we will compare all our future trips to. After arriving in Ha Giang City, we still had 2 weeks more to explore Vietnam. Follow along and subscribe for future videos where we visit central and southern Vietnam.